In this video, we're going to finish the KutaSoftware Infinite Algebra 1 free worksheet using the quadratic formula, picking up where we left off with number 13. Now, really quickly, reviewing the quadratic formula, it's the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of the quantity b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2 times a. However, in this number 13, we have to get the quadratic equal to 0 at the start. So we're going to subtract x from both sides. So we'll have 2x squared minus x minus 36 equal to 0. So my a value is a positive 2. My b value, think of this x as 1 times x, so b is negative 1, and c is negative 36. So I have the opposite of negative 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 36, 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a, 2 times 2. The opposite of negative 1 is a positive 1, and then we're adding or subtracting negative 1 squared, which is 1, minus 4 times a times c. 4 times 2 times negative 36 is negative 288. However, subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive, so this is the same as adding a positive 288, and that's all over 2 times 2, which is 4. So we'll have 1 plus or minus the square root of 289, 1 plus 288, all over 4, which is 1 plus or minus 17, since the square root of 289 equals 17 divided by 4. So my solutions are 1 plus 17 divided by 4 and 1 minus 17 divided by 4. 1 plus 17 is 18, so we'll have 18 over 4, and then 1 minus 17 is negative 16, so we'll have negative 16 over 4. Simplifying, 18 over 4, both are divisible by 2. So I'll have 9 halves, 9 divided by 2, and 4 goes into 16 evenly, so negative 16 divided by 4 is a negative 4. So my solutions in number 13 are 9 halves and negative 4. In number 14, we need that quadratic to equal 0 in order to use our quadratic formula. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. In doing so, I'll get 5x squared plus 9x plus 4 equal to 0. My a value is a positive 5, my b value is a positive 9, and my c value is a positive 4. So I'll have the opposite of 9 plus or minus the square root of 9 squared minus 4 times 5 times 4, all divided by 2 times 5. So that's going to be negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 9 squared, which is 81, minus 4 times 5 times 4, which is 80. And that's divided by 2 times 5, which is 10. So I'll have negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 81 minus 80 is positive 1, all over 10. So that's going to be negative 9 plus or minus 1 divided by 10. So I'll have negative 9 plus 1 over 10 and negative 9 minus 1 over 10. Negative 9 plus 1 is negative 8 over 10, and negative 9 minus 1 is negative 10 over 10. Negative 8/10 can be simplified since both are even numbers. We'll divide both by 2 to get negative 4/5. And 10 goes into 10 evenly. Negative 10 divided by 10 is negative 1. So my solutions in number 14 are negative 4/5 and negative 1. In number 15, I have a little bit more work to do. I'm going to have to subtract or add multiple terms to both sides. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. I'm going to add 3k squared to both sides. And I'm going to add 2k to both sides. So I'll have k squared plus 3k squared, which is 4k squared. And then I want my k terms to be next. So negative 2k plus 2k is 0. So that will actually cancel out. And then negative 31 plus 6 will be the same as subtracting 25. And that's equal to 0. So my a value is positive 4. My b value is 0. since I got 0k, and my c value is a negative 25. So the opposite of b, the opposite is 0, plus or minus the square root of 0 squared minus 4 times negative 25. That's all divided by 2 times 4. So I'll have 0 plus or minus the square root of 0 squared, which is 0, minus 4 times negative 25, which, if we're subtracting negative 400, that's the same as positive 400, all over 2 times 4, which is 8. So I'll have 0 plus or minus the square root of 400 is 20 all over 8. So I'm going to either have 20 over 8 or negative 20 over 8 as my solution, since 0 plus 20 is positive 20 and 0 minus 20 is a negative 20. Now both 20 and 8 are divisible by 4. 20 divided by 4 is positive 5, and 8 divided by 4 is a positive 2. Negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5, and 8 divided by 4 is a positive 2. So my solutions in number 15 are positive 5 halves and negative 5 halves. Continuing on to number 16, I'll simply subtract 4 and 7n from both sides. However, I could also have subtracted 9n squared, and that would have just given me 0 on the left-hand side as opposed to the right-hand side. So either way is correct. Now I'll have 9n squared minus 7n minus 4 equal to 0. My a value is positive 9, my b value is negative 7, and my c value is negative 4. So I'll have the opposite of b, the opposite of negative 7, plus or minus the square root of negative 7 squared minus 4 times a times c, that's 4 times 9 times negative 4, all over 2 times a, 2 times 9. So the opposite of negative 7 is positive 7, plus or minus the square root of negative 7 squared, which is 49, minus a negative number, since I'm multiplying a negative to two positives, so that'll be the same as adding a positive as opposed to subtracting a negative, and 4 times 9 times 4 equals 144. And that will be divided by 2 times 9, which is 18. So I'll have 7 plus or minus the square root of 49 plus 144, which is 193, all over 18. Now I cannot simplify the square root of 193, so my two solutions are 7 plus the square root of 193 over 18 and 7 minus the square root of 193 all over 18. Continuing on to number 17, I'll start by adding a positive n squared to both sides. So that'll leave me with 0 on the right-hand side of my equation. 8n squared plus n squared, or 1n squared, is 9n squared. And I'm adding 4n and taking away 16, and that will equal 0. My a value is a positive 9, my b value is a positive 4, and my c value is a negative 16. So the opposite of b is the opposite of 4, plus or minus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times a times negative 16, all over 2 times a, 2 times 9. So that'll be negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 16, since 4 squared is 16, minus 4 times 9 times negative 16, which is minus a negative 576, which is the same as adding a positive 576, and that's all over 2 times 9, which is 18. So we'll have negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 plus 576, which is the square root of 592, all over 18. Now the square root of 592 can be simplified. Now remembering how to simplify a square root, we have to find a perfect square that is a multiple of the number within the square root. And that's going to be 16. 16 times 37 equals 592. And that's all over 18. So negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 times 37, which is the number 592, all over 18. So we'll pull out that 16 to get negative 4 plus or minus a positive 4 times the square root of 37, all over 18. So one solution will be negative 4 plus 4 times the square root of 37 all over 18. And another solution will be negative 4 minus 4 times the square root of 37 all over 18. Now, both the numerators and the denominators are divisible by 2. So if we divide the numerator by 2, that will be negative 2 plus 2 times the square root of 37 all over 18 divided by 2, which is 9. And looking at our second solution, again, both the numerator and denominator are divisible by 2. Negative 4, 4, and 18 are all divisible by 2. So that's negative 2 minus 2 times the square root of 37 all over 9. Those are my two solutions in number 17. And if you want to double check, feel free to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2 to make sure you do indeed get negative 4 plus 4 and negative 4 minus 4 times the square root of 37 over 18 from the previous step. And lastly in this video, we're going to go over number 18. However, before I go over the solution to this, please remember to click that like button and subscribe to my channel. All likes and subscriptions are greatly appreciated, and they just let me know that you're finding these videos useful. So go ahead and do that now. Okay, so for number 18, we're going to be adding 7 to both sides. That way our quadratic equation will equal 0. So we'll have 8n squared plus 7n minus 8 equal to 0. Now we can use the quadratic formula to solve. Our a is a positive 8, our b is a positive 7, and our c is a negative 8. So that's going to be the opposite of 7 plus or minus the square root of 7 squared minus 4 times 8 times negative 8 all over 2 times 8. So this is negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 7 squared, which is 49, minus 4 times 8 times negative 8 gives us a negative 256, but if we're subtracting the negative, that's the same as adding a positive 256, and that's all over 2 times 8, which is 16. So we'll have negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 49 plus 256, which equals 305 divided by 16. And I can't simplify the square root of 305, therefore my solutions are simply negative 7 plus the square root of 305 over 16 and negative 7 minus the square root of 305 over 16. And that's my final solution on this worksheet. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And as always, like, subscribe, and share.